Bat Force Radio.
Bat Force Radio is rated M for mature, or should that be immature?
Grumps and Gramps, tons of laughs with Grumps and Gramps. Grumps and Gramps, tons of laughs with Grumps and Gramps. Grumps and Gramps, tons of laughs with Grumps and Gramps.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Grumps and Gramps on the Bat Force YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. We are doing episode 39, just like my eternal age. I am Gramps from Dallas, Texas. Joining me is my co-host here, this guy.
Grumps from Gotham City.
And joining us tonight is a very special guest, and I'm very honored to have him on with us. Joining us is Sean, who goes by Tic Tac Customs on Instagram. Thank you, Sean, for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
So I just realized, looking at your email, where your handle name came from.
Yep. You put it together. It's just like that. That's been a nickname for mine since I was a kid. Grandpa's nickname. So kind of just went with it.
Yeah. World's greatest detective right here.
Definitely.
So one, it's really awesome to talk to you face to face because we've been chatting back and forth in DMs. I kind of got myself into it's kind of a rabbit hole, but kind of in a quagmire here, dealing with a customization of a Mezco Batman. And I've never done soft good customs before. I've mostly just handled, Marvel Legends and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But you're not a true customizer until you tackle a soft goods custom. And Sean here is by far one of the most highly recognized and highly respected customizer in the soft goods area. His whole channel, if you go onto it, he'll show you exactly what he does to make all these awesome customs that they look just like production quality figures. It's amazing to me. And also, the creativity that you do, there's sometimes where I'm like, I never would have thought of doing that. So, kind of talk us through your origin about getting started in that and how you developed it over the years.
Yeah, thank you. Those are very kind words. It's fun. It's a way of expressing, getting my mind and my hands connected and using that imagination to create, take one toy and turn it into something else. And that's kind of how it started. I was collecting since I was a kid, got in and out of it. And then when I was in my mid-20s, I picked up Marvel Legends Iron Man from the Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure wave, and I was hooked to get back into toys. And then as the years went on, I was like, I think I want a specific figure, but I haven't seen any really out there. And it was Eric Killmonger from Black Panther, where he's wearing the blue shirt and the camo pants, but only Marvel Legends created that. And I just started to see Mezco customs and people taking them apart, and it was going beyond head sculpt swaps. So I was tapping into all these people who were doing Mezco customs, like Kit Bash, Flashpoint, Tosh. They all have customs at the end of their names, so I'm just going to say it over and over again. But they were all making these great figures, and I was asking them these questions that now I get every day, which is awesome because now it's full circle. Because when I was talking to them, I wasn't just saying hey, where do you get the clothes, or how do you take the head off? I was asking questions that now I still find funny, how do you take the pants off of a toy? Which is the simple answer is the same way you would yourself. But so with Brute Force, I was taking apart a Mezco blade. I was ripping the boots off, and I cut the pants off, and then I kit bashed this figure together, and I took the Marvel Legends mask, and I was like, that's Killmonger. I didn't paint anything. I just put some clothes on a blade and turned it into Killmonger, and I was hooked. And then
right.
It went from there. I was like, I never really painted before, so the next step was buying a 3D printed kit from someone on eBay. And I said to myself, like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I want to make a Red Hood, and I'm going to do it. So I bought the kit. I asked people what paints to do or to get. And then it just went on from there. And before I knew it, I was holding a Red Hood in front of my hands. Like, I can't believe I made that. And then that's where it was really hooked.
Right.
There are endless possibilities with 3D printing and like soft goods and a Mezco body. One thing can turn into something completely different. And thank goodness Mezco Batman figures like Sovereign Knight were still in stock when I started, because I picked up a bunch of them, and he was turning into every which way I could think of to make a Batman.
Yeah, that is one of the most used bucks. I'll say that. It's kind of very versatile. Yeah, I mean, for a while there, and I think they're actually sold out on just about every site now. So the prices jumped up, but there for a while, I mean, people were just buying that thing left and right and just using it for everything. I'm not. I can only buy about one or two of those, and then I'm too scared. I'll be honest. I was way too scared to start customizing Mezcos, because I was just like, that is a lot of money to spend on a figure.
Yeah.
And I don't trust myself with the skills and knowledge to do this. So it took me a long time before I got up the nerve. But recently, and Grumps, we're on the same page here. We were so disappointed with the Mezco 89 Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, you wait 3 years and you're like, just really let down. And I couldn't let go.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to fix this. And so I started searching for avenues, and I came across your account, and I was like, this is the guy that he's the one. He knows how to show me how to do this. And I'm so glad. But yeah, you took me down a very, very scary path. I'm going to be honest. It was dipping that first toe in the water is, I'm not cut out for this. I don't know,
and that custom is not a plug and play. It's not a Sovereign Knight, put a suit on and call it a day. This was a very, very roundabout way of making a good Keaton figure.
That's what I learned. I learned very quickly that, because I was just like, I kind of saw what you did, and I was like, man, I'm just going to pop these boots off and put those boots on, and it'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Sometimes the simplest ones end up being the most challenging and headache filled.
Yeah. So let me find the Keaton one first. I mean, while we're on it.
I have a question, Sean.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject, the cost of doing one custom, like, I mean, what in a like roundabout way, like, what does that look like?
So I'll do, for instance, I just had one example. So regular Sovereign Knight, 150. Okay. So a printed head sculpt, 15 to 25. A new suit, same price. A belt replacement could be about the same price, and then cape and trunks would be about 30 to 40 if you want to get a wired one. So take this one is my favorite. I'm always going to say, like, this is my all-time, my Hush Batman. So taking the regular Sovereign Knight and turning it into this. So you're adding pretty much like 20, 40, 60, 80, 90. You're adding at minimum almost to $100.
You're almost doubling the cost.
Yeah, and that's me painting and putting it all together too. If you outsource that head sculpt, a printed head sculpt can go from $15 to a $50 commission painted. So Yeah.
That's a
Yeah, I
great
could see
question.
that. That's what makes it scary.
Yeah.
Well, that's what makes
Not
it
the cost so much, but just all right. I'm gonna chop up this $90 figure. Let's say.
Yeah. I always take a deep breath before I start.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grumps, that was a great question because a lot of times people, when they approach customizers, they're kind of shocked at the price that they get. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
look, man, you're asking for a lot of work,
Mhm.
and the 112, we primarily stick to 112. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't own any hot toys. I have one or two 1/6 scale figures,
Mhm.
but the 112 soft good markets has just exploded
Yeah.
probably within the last 5 years. You can find almost anything now.
Absolutely.
Well, you know something, Gramps? I was looking through Sean's account, and every time he starts a reel, he shows you the original figure. Like, oh, there goes Daredevil. God damn. Oh, there goes Cyclops. Jesus Christ.
Gone.
And then,
Obliterated.
I mean, I would get a break when he would whip out one of those base bodies, the blank bodies. Oh, okay, good. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's not messing with, run of the mill, Nova or Noda
Yeah,
Man, not a man.
yeah,
He's whipping out the real deal, man.
Yeah. Sometimes I need it to be everything aligned right. When I want to do those retrofit ones, like 89 Keaton,
Yeah,
taking a body like Ghost Rider that does not work with the Fison body that Mezco chose to use for it, that's where it gets like really funky, where it's like there's no body that it's gonna work with, so you
right.
have to like kind of force your hand with it. Whereas like V Toys, that's where you can really let the imagination run.
yeah,
Where it's like that could be a Punisher, that could be a Talon, that could be a big Daredevil, that could be a big Batman. It could be anything you want for
Right.
30 for what it was $30, and now it's skyrocketed.
How do
Right.
you, Sean, how do you find those bodies, like versus a Mezco body?
How do I like the V Toys?
Like, are they better? Is the articulation better, or
I think like V Toys has good articulation. GW, which is like a slightly shorter, like larger, like a Frank Miller Batman kind of looking one. That one is limited a little more in its articulation, and then there's like the new medium size NW toys, which is probably superior to all the base bodies for its articulation. Like it looks like ninjas,
yeah,
or like the goal for it, like any type of martial artist character. Noda I've only used once or twice, and those have a lot of range. Especially they have a huge butterfly range or butterfly joint.
okay,
Those like a Sovereign Knight does not have a lot of butterfly joint range
yeah,
compared to those. I would say V Toys has a better crunch than a Mezco Batman.
yeah,
For when I'm always gonna go with like a Mezco Batman as a base figure if I'm going to make a Batman, except for recently, like my Neil Adams one where it was light blue and gray. It's just the parts I had that fit the V Toys better. And then
This guy.
yes,
okay,
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so awesome.
Thank you.
yeah.
That is so classic, and thank you for making that because Mezco's not going to make that.
No, never
that's not
ever.
happening.
Their Golden Age one, when I got it, I was like, this looks great, except I'm not a fan of his build in that comic or that figure.
Yeah,
And so I love that blue, and I was like, I could match this. I think I could do it. And I saw a buddy of mine, his name is Rich 112 Customs. He printed that head sculpt and the belt for me, and he made one similar. And I was like, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna take the Golden Age's cape and trunks. And just as like a disclaimer, those trunks do not fit the V Toys body properly. Like I had to scarecrow stitch it on the back and like kind of loosen it up under there because there was no movement unless I did that. Those trunks are made for small bodies.
gotcha.
In the end, it worked out. And that one, he's taller than like all my Batman figures behind me right now. Like he's way too tall, but it's light blue and sticks out among all the other ones.
Yeah. that's another skill set that I had to quickly learn. You mentioned the stitching, because with a lot of these soft goods, you buy basically it looks like a onesie, kind of like a wetsuit.
Yeah.
And you have to manipulate your figure into this wetsuit and then stitch up the back. I had no idea how to do that.
It's not fun when you don't know how to do it first. This is a suit I picked up from a tailor, Fetty Magnolia. It's Jace Fox's suit.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So as you can see, the stitching in the back is just one very little hole, and you kind of just slide the whole body in there and then just go back and forth with this is sounding much easier than it really is, but going back and forth with a needle and stitch them up.
Yeah, I had to watch about 4 YouTube videos for the ladder stitch technique.
Yeah.
And I literally, I had some yellow cloth that I used just as an excess prop piece for a diorama. And I made basically I cut a piece of it to make like the sling that Carrie Kelly made for Broke Arm Batman. And
awesome.
That's what I used to practice on. And I was just like, for about an hour doing this. And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm learning to sew. Leave me alone."
So watch all clothes.
Yeah. She's out there mowing the grass and doing all these big chores, and I'm sewing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
true.
with a lot of these soft goods, you've got to sew up the back, which that's another, expertise.
Skill you got to learn.
Yeah. And then I was so scared. I was like, okay, I got the legs in. How do I get the arms in?
Yeah.
Because that's a whole nother technique on how to do that. I had no idea, but
especially the suit that you were working with, because it wasn't a traditional stretchy like cotton spandex. It was that neoprene faux like wetsuit kind of looking thing, and that is tight.
Very tight.
You really gotta move things. Like
I really didn't even need to sew it up. I mean, it fit so well on there. I was just like, wow, okay, wow. I mean, I'll sew it up just to enclose it, but it really fits so tight. But yeah, I mean, the lesson I learned is, these toys are a little bit more durable than what you think, and you can get rough with them and make them do what you want. I mean, now, sometimes you may need to warm it up, to make certain things bend in a way to get into a place, but that's another idea. I learned a lot doing this custom. And while we're talking about it, let's just bring up the custom that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
This guy. So as our viewers can see, this is a 89 Keaton Batman that's been basically put on a brand new body. Sean, I'll let you kind of explain the process here.
So like you guys were both talking about, when Mezco finally released theirs, that body, while its appearance was accurate, that it was limited in the way we could actually really have it, pose it and enjoy it. And the size overall was it was like comparative to a small Fison body. And Fison is like a base figure that's very gummy and malleable. And it's meant to have this like silicone appearance for perfect muscle. But the downfall with it was it didn't scale right. The metal underbody made it really challenging to articulate. And, for one, it was very, it had that like protective dust that came with it when it was shipped to, which was not, like no one, the regular collector does not need to and does not want to have a figure arrive and have to do maintenance to it immediately.
Right.
So I was following in the footsteps of two people that I talk to pretty often. One guy goes by the name of Bazooka and the other is Peter's Workshop. And they both did the same thing here. They took a Mezco Ghost Rider. They stripped it of all the accessories and the clothes, and then popped the gauntlets and the boots off of the 89 Keaton and dremeled and drilled the life out of those so they could fit onto the new Ghost Rider body. They sewed up a suit, which now what's on the screen now. The suit was sewn on. The parts were put back on. Usually glue is not needed to retrofit parts back on, but since this was such a unique project, the gauntlets and boots had to be glued back on, and then put a magnet in where the neck piece is. That way the 89 Keaton's cowl and head neck piece can all just pop on just like it would the Mezco figure, and that can be interchangeable.
Now, you use the stock cape?
In this one, I think I do have the stock cape on it after all, because like you and I talked about, I bought a couple capes, and each time I thought I was going to use it for my 89 Keaton, I was like, it might look better actually on this Batman instead. And then this one works better on this one. So I ended up just using the stock one in the end. And now I have a surplus of other 1/12 scale cape makers capes.
I'm like you. I've got a whole collection here. I've spent a small fortune in capes. But yes, when I saw this, I was like, I mean, I appreciate and I always liked the design of the 89 suit, but yeah, I mean, he couldn't work. I couldn't even get my figure's legs to be aligned correctly. I had my left leg was permanently stuck longer than my right leg.
So frustrating. Grumps, I'm sure you had the same thing. Just like a weird way I couldn't bend it or anything.
I didn't touch that figure from April until August, because I just I was gonna throw it out the window at one point.
Yeah.
It couldn't move. Like, what is the purpose of this if it can't move?
Yeah.
Like basic movements, you know. I don't need Spider-Man articulation, but my God, I'd like to be able to move the legs, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he could basically do pretty much what he did in the movie, which was just point a grapnel gun like this. That's literally all he could really do. Yeah. Now, I've seen some people do some amazing poses and whatnot with theirs. More power to them, but it was just frustrating for me to deal with this, and I was just sick. So I found Sean, and I bugged the shit out of Sean to show me how to make mine, and here he is.
Did it, man? You made it happen. That is no small feat.
No, because you're right. When you first you had to find the buck, and I had to go on eBay and find the buck, and the thing is, you have to modify this buck to fit this character, because I did a very stupid thing. I learned the hard way that you always, if you're going to do something like this, you need to make the cuts and then kind of fit it together first before you put that suit on.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, here's the figure. I'll put my magnet in. I followed Sean's recipe. I put my magnet in the neck hole. Put the suit on. Then I started trying to put on the arms and legs, and I was like, well, one, he was like 8 inches tall. and then his head was like really down because Ghost Rider had some big trap muscles back here that I didn't realize I needed to cut. And then after I looking at yours, I was like, oh man, he totally leveled off that top part.
Yeah.
And then I was scared. I was like, I'm gonna ruin this suit. Oh my God, what am I supposed to do here? But it had to be done. I mean, I literally almost quit 3 times on this thing. And then Sean, you break out the knife. And I was so scared of even cutting this figure. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah. What's that?
Oh, I was going to say, I want you to know there's an offer on the table for Gramps to make me one.
I pulled it off, though. No, originally I was like...
Somewhere in the middle of it, he's, I'll do one for you if you want. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I said, I'll do one for you. No. No. The hardest, most frustrating part for me was the arms Because I mean, you really have to whittle those things down. I mean, I was scared I was going to go too far.
Yeah.
Where there was nothing but a small little nub left. But those Keaton gloves were so thin.
They are. It's like, it almost looks like he's squeezing in a lot of forearm muscle into a little tube of gauntlet.
Yeah.
And that's where that whole retrofitting thing comes into, where it's like, this one is not going to be perfect because if we go a step smaller on the body, then you're working with like a Gomez or a Joker. And at that point, you're back to the Fison size.
And then once you get the arm shaved off, you've got the sleeve overhang. You've got to trim that sleeve.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to ruin this suit. I've already spent, I don't know how many hours I spent on this thing, man.
I'm amazed at the determination. I'm glad I could help. And you even did way more without my help.
I think I spent probably 30 hours on this thing. It was like, have you seen that movie, The Martian? They ask him at the end, well, how did you do this? How did you figure this out? And it was just like, you figure out one problem at a time, and then you go to the next and figure out how to do that. That's literally what I had to do on this. And I mean, your videos make it look so easy.
It does.
That's the talent. Is it's like, oh, look what he did, man. I'll follow these instructions. But then I realized, oh, he's doing a lot more work. And I'm sorry I bugged you on it, but it was quite the undertaking.
It's my pleasure. I mean, that's kind of how it started for me. I was asking people questions all the time, and now I can pay it forward and help people. It's why I make those videos. I don't do YouTube because I just choose not to. I don't know if I have the patience to make a long video to show the process, because to me, unless you really want to do it yourself, the process is boring and it's painstaking sometimes. So I make those 20-second videos just to show what I did, show where it came from, and give credit to those who produced or made or designed or sewed anything that I used there. And it's just a quick capture with it. And then when people like yourself want to really make it, I'll take the time to talk you through it, because there's nothing cooler than finally holding something you made in front of you and be like, wow, that's me. That's hard work.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got this bad boy posted up on my desk here. And I love it. I mean, now the purists will say, well, it's not the Keaton body because you don't have the torso and the abs and stuff like that. You know what? I like it. It looks clean. It almost looks like a comic version of the movie adaptation, right?
Yeah.
And it functions. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
And I made it the same height as a Sovereign. How? I don't know. That's the lucky part, I guess. But
yeah, that was a driving factor for me too. The height thing. His head was a little too large for the body, I think, and then the height was one.
Yes. This body scales perfect with the head, because you're right. He did look a little bit too much like a Q-tip.
Yeah. If you guys remember, right when the figure was getting released, there's always those like poorly shot, low quality, low lit, angled shots of like, here's the initial photo. I took it with my Nokia brick and I'm going to upload it to Reddit. And everyone can lose their minds over this photo, because it's like, who gave this one random person a camera from the 90s to take the most anticipated shots of a figure we've been waiting on for years? And everybody's like, head's too big. And then the people who were still hanging on, which I was too, I was like, don't judge it until you get into your hands. The people were like, head's not too big. You just can't tell. And well, we got it in hand, and unfortunately that's the case.
Yeah, there's always those guys that are, I mean, just really quick to gripe. And I'll be honest, I love Mezco products. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a wall right here stacked up to the ceiling of Mezco.
Yeah.
So I love those guys. They do great jobs. I'll be eternally thankful for them for creating the Dark Knight Returns Batman.
Absolutely.
For $65. Best deal ever.
Yeah.
Remember those days.
Old school prices.
So far gone. Gotta fight for them now.
I remember when it was like $65. Oh my gosh, for an action
Crazy.
figure.
65 for like, this is like turn of the century
Yeah,
here.
that
It's
dude
just
was
like,
$65, and I was sweating it.
he's so durable. He's a tank. Yeah, 65. Now this goes for double, triple, maybe.
Oh,
So
yeah, in box. I mean,
yeah.
3, 4. So yeah, obviously from your videos, you really like DC. I mean, it seems like you predominantly do a lot of DC. I've seen some Marvel. I've seen some TV show characters, but what's your bread and butter when you want to really get into your creative wheelhouse?
I have a collection of comics because I like the art. The story is always going to be good to me, but I really like comic art. So I always just look at any artwork from some of my favorite artists. Like Jim Lee's Hush is always going to be my all-time favorite appearance, and Frank Miller, you know, Dark Knight Returns. Those are just like grungy, gritty appearances that I really like and that I want to capture. So if I need inspiration, I'll look towards that. And then at the same time, all I have to do is open Instagram and see what someone made that day. And then if someone, that's how like I got to the Keaton figure. I saw someone did it and I was like, I could do that too. But when I want to get creative, that's where you got to draw towards other art. And sometimes I just have like a plethora of parts that I can just flip through. That's all just like, this whole section is just Batman. This is hands, boots, heads, printed heads, painted heads, accessories, Affleck, Pattinson, Bale, you know, Dark Knight Returns, everything. I've got just things that I'll just take a base body and put it in front of me and then just start trying to put pieces together and see what happens.
Wow, I'm super impressed with that organization. My room is a pit.
Thank you.
So cool. Let's take a look at, I guess here's a Batman. This one is Affleck.
Yeah, BVS repaint.
Okay, yeah, you did something really cool I like on this one is by adding the extra shading for the definition.
That's what I like.
Thank you. Yeah. It was so the original BVS figure is awesome. It's old, but it still holds up. And that I like that gray on it. It's always been up for discussion as to what's the accurate gray that's portrayed in BVS. And I think it looks a little darker in the movies, but the Justice League suit, even based off the Hot Toys, the Justice League suit is like a grayish blue. And so I guess I wanted to go for that. And I didn't do a body swap or anything on this. This is the same BBS. No suit was changed out. It's just as soon as you use a paint towards it, like let's see here, the Angelus leather paint to go over the suit, it immediately like adheres to the suit and brings the muscle definition out further without me even having to do the tracing. And then
so you're just dry brushing it?
For the painted suit part, yep. I was using it's a leather paint that you can put on, just like any other paint, but if you dry brush it, it doesn't allow it to get like super thick and gunked up. So that's the method I used for it. And then when I wanted to trace the muscle, this is the tactical Batman base body, but what I would do is I would take a Supreme Knight or a Sovereign Knight, since they're like the same mold pretty much, and I would just like treat it like tracing in art, just like I had both bodies side by side, and I would paint the lines into the suit as I was looking at the base body with no suit on it, trying to mimic that. And then I picked up a cowl and a painted head from someone on eBay that it looks like they created their own head and cowl cast to be slightly larger. So with that, and then the muscle definition, and then I didn't switch anything else out. I just repainted the gauntlets flat black and the gold parts just a different type of gold.
Right.
And that gauntlet, or the head, the cowl, and the suit repaint made it look like way taller, way bigger. And I kept getting questions as to if I swapped the body, which is like it's just a mirage. Like it's
Right.
just a repaint.
Right. I mean, I have that figure, and you're exactly right. When it's almost like, I see a lot of people complain about the McFarlane DC figures.
Mhm.
They're like, that looks nothing like, especially like the movie line.
Yes.
Yeah.
That looks nothing like them. And then you get it in the hands of a really talented painter, and they add all the shading and all that stuff. And my God, boom, there is the face that
Yeah.
looks just like. I mean, the sculpt is there. It's just
Mhm.
the rendering. A lot of times brings out the definition and the features. So
Yeah.
yeah, that looks really really cool.
Thank you. Yep. McFarlane's sculpt for the price of the whole figure, 20 to 25, maybe 30, but like for that price, that head sculpt is usually very accurate. It just has a factory paint job, so
Yeah,
it's gonna have wonky eyes. The mouth is gonna be somewhere else, but with
right.
with
Yeah.
some repaint ability, you can really bring it out. There are people who like that's their thing. Like I do full Mezco custom. Some people just take stock McFarlane and they just repaint the faces and make it awesome.
Right. Now, are you going to do the Affleck Flash suit?
Yeah, so that's what I'm still like trying to wrap my head around, even after all this time. So I've seen some pretty creative customs to where people would take the McFarlane and chop off all the armor and retrofit it to like the BBS figure. I for one don't enjoy cutting up McFarlanes because they are like the world's strongest plastic. Not,
Yeah.
I don't want to take a Dremel. I don't want to take a X-Acto knife to those things.
Oh, that's another thing. You made me go buy a Dremel too.
Yeah.
I had to go buy a Dremel.
Yep. It's like home ownership. It's like you got to have these tools to get the basic necessities done. And it's like for customizing, you need a Dremel, you need an X-Acto knife, pliers, you need everything.
Right.
But yeah, the that tactical Batman, that new Flash suit. I tried a few things trying to figure it out. My best interpretation is going to be I'm going to take the tactical Batman and I'm going to take all that armor and just repaint the predominant parts like a darker blue and then keep this like a darker steel gray or silver. Obviously everything else is going to be blue cape, blue cowl. That's going to be like my best shot at it for now. And when the new 3-pack from Mezco eventually drops, the
Right.
latest release is October. We'll see if there's gonna be another pushback. I'm gonna take a look at that suit because that's what he's technically wearing with that new armor in the movie. Is what I saw. It looks like that's his Justice League suit with that honeycomb armor. I'm gonna see if I can do something with that because
Yeah. And I'm sure that it won't be long before some 3D person, 3D printer person comes up with like a kit. There's a guy that you use frequently. What's his name? 3D Customs.
Yeah, 3D Marine, Rob.
3D Marine, right?
Yeah.
Somebody like that's going to come out with a kit, maybe to do something like that. But I was curious if you were going to attempt that.
I do. It's on my to-do list. I keep this tactical Batman out on the desk just so I can, whenever I look at it, I try and jog my memory and try and like get some imagination going. But that guy Rob, who his store is 3D Marine, you'd be blown away at the catalog he has. So when Hot Toys released their Hall of Armors shot, when they're like, here's the new Flash Keaton and here's his Hall of Armors, Rob went to work and made every single suit that's just in the background of that figure. And so now he has all these kits available for like the scuba suit, the year one, the I don't even know what some of them are. They look like crazy, but they're all cool and he designed it. So yeah, there's no way that he's not gonna design the tactical suit coming up.
Yeah, I've bought a few things from him. I bought the belt that you used
Mhm.
for this suit, but I ended up using the stock belt because I wanted the magnet features. Oh, that's
Yeah.
a whole nother story.
Yeah.
You know, those magnets are super tiny
So small.
and they're so strong
Hmm.
that um, somehow during the process, probably pulling it off, you know, because you have to warm up the belt
Yeah.
and then kind of pinch the legs together. And I got that belt super hot. And you
Hmm.
basically kind of stretch it, and then I had to like roll it
Yeah.
off. Well, somehow in there, I guess in the heating process, one of the magnets fell off.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh man, I lost one of the magnets. And then I found it by accident because it had clipped onto my tweezers. And I
Yep.
was like, okay, cool. Well, then, then in the process of gluing it back onto the belt, it went and magnetized, stuck on the other little because there's two magnets.
Hmm.
I could not get that thing off, man. I could not get that thing was so damn strong. I had to like get two. I had to go get my big vice grips,
Hmm.
and I'm talking. You're talking about a millimeter by a millimeter.
They're so small, so strong, and that belt is so thin. I don't know. Mezco really really works some magic to make that happen.
I don't know. I had to. I mean, I don't know how I did it. I had my magnifying glasses on.
Oh my
Hmm.
God.
Dude, I'm telling you, it took me an hour to get that thing undone.
Yeah.
And that was a whole nother story. But I finally got it on there. I I literally glued one of them on, put some electrical tape over it, and then put the other one on. Of course, it flipped and magnetized on the one, but with the electrical tape, it was easy to slide off. And glued it on, taped it down. So now that's how I had to get that to work.
That's being crafty, and they don't show you that in the how I made that video.
No,
For sure.
that's back to our Martian solving one problem at a time. But
Yeah.
man, those magnets, they're so strong. But I wanted them because I got the belt that you had,
Hmm.
and I like it. But I wanted the magnets. I guess I could have figured out a way to put the magnets on that one. Anyway,
If I were to do it again, I would have done some very roundabout way and like drilled a little hole into the hip of the Ghost Rider figure and then put a magnet in there. But that's such an elongated process. I would only do that if it was like, if only I was doing that for someone out of a commission. But
do you do commissions?
I don't. No.
Oh.
Yeah. I used to, when I first started, I made a lot of custom figures like right out the gate. And then people started asking me, do I sell? So I said, I guess I'll sell. So I held a few organized sales to where like on my Instagram, I put up 10 figures that I made, and then it was first come, first serve. And then I did that a few more times. And then at a certain point, I started selling figures that I wish I didn't. Like I kind of regretted it. And then I remade them because I missed them on my shelf. It was like sending your kid away.
Yeah.
God, my kid's off to college in some other state now, and I want him back. So that happened a few times. I made it like I made a Talon, I sold it. I made 2 more Talons and I sold them, and I was like, what is wrong with me?
Okay,
Like,
I'm gonna have to get those recipes.
Talon was that's such a fun one. Just using the tactical Batman, but it was just like that. And then that kind of drove me away from like selling any more figures because it wasn't. It is almost kind of like the kid with like, this is my ball and I'm going home. Unfortunately, so
Yeah.
the best thing I can do is show people how they can do it in like those 20-second videos to be like,
Yeah.
I can't sell you this, but I will tell you and help you if you want to make it yourself.
That's awesome. And yeah, it's kind of like teaching a man to fish for himself, you know. And
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here, let's look at some more figures because we've talked almost 45 minutes and we've only seen one figure. All right, here we go. Look at that.
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
In my collection. And
Batman.
2 of those guys are different now. the tactical Batman in the back, I repainted that to be a black undersuit and more black and a darker silver on everything. And then Keaton is not. I'm not using this Sovereign Knight Onyx figure anymore. Thanks to Mezco's release,
Right.
I were able to upgrade that. And I love my Pattinson custom. My Bale custom I like, but I'm not crazy about because he's so tall because I used the NW Toys body.
Okay.
And I neglected to do a size comparison. And I'm actually not familiar with the height of Christian Bale, but I don't think he towers over everyone else. And that was a really big test run for me because that was a new kit from Rob that I got from him, and it was like, just give it a go on this new body too. The NW Toys came out and that new kit came out, and I gave it like the test run, and it works, but I do have a different plan for him. There's the Soap Studios, I think. Soap Studios made a the Dark Knight figure, and now a few people have taken that and retrofitted it to remove the suit and remove the armor and put it on a slightly taller, slightly wider base body, and they make it look great. They make it look like Hot Toys, like DX19 kind of. So
Cool.
That's what I want to do. This was just like a concept of like Dark Knight Rises armor.
That's what gets me is like the people that make up the recipe. I mean, it's kind of like, a good cook that knows his ingredients and how they. I have no idea. I'm just like, give me the recipe and I can follow it, but I can't make it up. I don't. I'm too scared.
Yeah.
I love these, especially Bizarro.
Yeah, he was tough. That was another new base body. That one's called the Crazy Crazy figure, and it has this like very large upper body and then kind of a tapered, not so large like quads and calves. And unfortunately too, if you take even a closer look, he has no traps. So like Bizarro never shrugged. Bizarro never did like a full shoulder routine. He neglected his traps. So that suit also, I originally purchased that suit from a guy named Hendy, and that suit I, requested for a V-Toys body a long time ago. And then that new base body came out, and I said, is it going to fit? And he goes, it will stretch. I don't recommend it. And I said, I've never been a good listener, so I'm going to do it anyway. And I stretched the hell out of that body and picked it up on the sleeves a little bit to look like Bizarro also got a bad copy of Superman's suit. And
that's kind of the appeal of it, right?
Yeah. So I repainted, it was just like a pale white base body. So I painted the collar area, the wrists, and then I took the head and neck, or the head and the hands from McFarlane Bizarro. And then for his sign, for like Bizarro #1 sign, I took like a old piece of rubber and just chopped it up and then kind of like carved it out to make it look like concrete. He was tough. The other two guys were easy. Those were just like suit and boot paint. The Hush one on the right, I did not paint that head sculpt. I could never do that in my life. But the one on the left, the Recovery or Sonar, that I do enjoy doing like heat vision eyes for Superman, so I can kind of get okay with that. But my Superman collection has, it's definitely expanded now. I've got Hush, Kingdom Come Alex Ross, regular Alex Ross, Sonar.
Yeah, I've got that Alex Ross right here. Look at this.
I love them.
Look at this, dude.
Those are my pride and joy, especially Kingdom Come. I got really lucky with like a good combo. The guy there's a team of two fellas. One designs the heads. His name is Hello, my name is Brian. And then he's partnered with a guy named, not 112, but Juan 12.
Juan 12.
And, they're both in Australia, and they partner up to design and paint, and they did both those head sculpts. And I got a couple of head sculpts of like Alex Ross Kingdom Come ones to try and see what worked best. And I really like this comic one because it's like even the cheekbones are like so comically defined.
Right.
I'm just impressed by it, and I'm so happy that I have those two. Those are like my front displays. It
I
goes.
really like the Superman on the right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, big Alex Ross symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the bluish purple hair too, with them.
Yeah.
But for my front display here, like these are in this top shelf. I think there's 75 or 6 customs in there right now, or no, 75 or 6 figures, and only 13 of them are stock in this top shelf
Wow.
right here. So,
Dude.
and that's all DC now. So like even the front row, it goes Pattinson, Bale, Kilmer, Keaton, Affleck, and then like 2 Hush figures, and then it's Superman to the right, pretty much, and then everything else behind it is.
You made a Kilmer?
Just like I pieced together about
Okay.
Kilmer. Nothing crazy. It's not even 100% accurate. It's just using this
okay.
Onyx figure.
Okay, yeah.
Val's face, and then even like a gold belt is not 100% accurate to it. I'd rather do the Panther suit, but that's what I'm still like trying to figure out.
Gotcha. Look at this dude.
That's a fun
Oh,
one.
that's a great one.
Yeah. That story is, I loved that story. And then that suit, I was like, that's such a weird design. Like escaping that mental hospital, and
yeah,
Alfred giving him this suit, and then him taking belts and the batons and the boots from all the GCPD and just like escaping. It was such a crazy thing. And then with the Joker head. So the McFarlane figure, well, I found the McFarlane figure, I read the story, and I was like, there's got to be someone who can make this suit. And that's when there's people like C4 Charles who can make you any Batman, any Superman, any Green Lantern suit you want. Puts a great symbol on it, gives you a bodysuit or 2-piece, whatever you want to work with. There's people like Hendy who makes like raised emblem Superman and Batman suits and capes and trunks. Like he does the whole package, and even those belts. And then there's people like Rebel 10 Customs who makes like very special, intricate projects like this.
She's great.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of her capes. I got a Shazam cape from her, and I mean it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. She's awesome.
Definitely. And so she's done this suit for me, and my Red Sun Batman and my Red Sun Wonder Woman, their gear too. So in the corner of this display is all 3 from the Red Sun movie.
Wow. Very cool. All right. Let me find. Oh, these were amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're fun.
That Batman Beyond on the right is so awesome.
Thank you. It's crazy. That suit is made by 2 people. They just started really branching out this year, called Kanu Toys. Milano Christensen is the tailor to the designer, and he started with this tactical honeycomb suit is what he calls it. And then he added some red lines for it, and a buddy of mine, just we were going back and forth, and he said those red lines would be good for like a Deathstroke or even like a Beyond. And I said, just okay, that's it. I'll credit you, but I'm gonna beat you to it before you can do this one.
Is that it? Is it sometimes a race to see who can make one first?
Between one friend of mine, yeah, because like we'll bounce ideas off each other, and then like we both kind of get the same kits at the same time. It seems.
Gotcha.
So it's always like, hey, who's got the motivation to do it first? And I don't ever want to be, you don't want to be the first. You want to do it right, and you want to do it to your liking. But hey, when you're the first person to make like Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, the first person to make the Miles Prowler custom, that thing soared. Someone was so creative to make like the first Prowler Miles, and got thousands of likes and probably millions of views on their how I did it, and it's like, that's awesome. But
yeah, you're right.
But but those two were a lot of fun. And that Arkham Beyond, that's a whole designed kit that a few people market now. It fits a V-Toys body, and you could put an undersuit on it and paint that kit up exactly like how it looks in the game. But I took I have that pinned on the top of my profile because it was a little more intricate. This was like I had to shave the body down so I could fit pants and the armor on because I wanted it to look more like the game with like a special pair of pants. And I took the Sovereign Knight suit and I painted that black and gave it like that kind of like chainmail deck plate appearance shirt. So that was fun.
Here's one out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've talked about DC and comic book characters. Talk us through this guy.
That is great.
Gustavo. That was tough. In no way could I make any of that stuff myself. I could never design Gus's face or paint it or tailor that suit. So that head I found on eBay. If my guess is it's a shrunken version, like a casted or scanned version of Mars Toys, I think makes the 1/6 scale. I'm not positive which company. It's not a Hot Toys, but somebody made a Gus figure and they took that face and shrunk it to 1/12 scale. That suit is made by Korakidge, and he specializes in 1/12 scale suits. He's made Moon Knight, Two-Face, Black Mask, you name it. Anything you want to get a suit in, he'll make it. Phenomenal work. I sent him the image of like, this is the suit that Gus is wearing that I'd like. And then he said, okay, 6 months. 6 months later, I had the suit.
Really? 6 months?
Yeah, he's in high demand.
Oh, wow.
And then I got that head sculpt painted by Darko Customs, and it's phenomenal. And I used the Mezco Two-Face as a base body without thinking about it. And then people were commenting, did you use Two-Face on purpose because of how he dies? Right. And how he literally looks like Two-Face. And I was like, no, I didn't even think about that, but it makes perfect sense now. But yeah, I have him. I have a Better Call Saul for like a very bright and eccentric suit that Saul Goodman wears. And then the Maniple Drug Lord, which is the Walter White figure.
Right.
All right here. Front row of my Marvel and everything else shelf.
And they'll never be sold.
No, I can't.
Good.
I cannot.
Good. That's good.
While we're talking about Marvel,
yeah,
look at this bad boy.
Tank. Warzone Punisher Frank. That one was like, I took the Warzone movie inspiration, and then that helmet, someone casted it. Was it the Beltron brothers? They cast the Mezco helmet, so I could just get it blank and I could repaint it myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff, the rest of the armor is like partially from 3D Marine, partially from Action Figure Customs. But I took, since knockoff Mezcos are usually not reliable with their joints, this figure, I said, he's not going to ever bend a limb in his life. So I'm going to use a Mezco knockoff Punisher. I swapped the suit and the pants out and then just loaded up like as much armor as I could. And then just freehanded the skulls. And I'm really happy with how that came out because that was tough.
Yeah, that looks like great. This one, I really like this one. Taskmaster.
That is another one of my. Too. Thank you. That's using the Mix Max Stab of Hades figure, the Deathstroke.
Oh yeah.
So that figure, I took a Mezco Supreme Knight suit and painted that blue, and put that on the Deathstroke figure, and then repainted all that to be like kind of a comic and MCU Taskmaster.
Yeah.
The head is kind of MCU, and then I tried to get like comic-y with the white since the MCU one just used silver. My only pitfall with this one was I couldn't find and I couldn't get a properly made like cape hood version with this because I really wanted him to have a hood. I'm still waiting to see if I actually want to get that done, but I'm not
you
100%.
should. There's tons of places that have like a Moon Knight hood that you could use.
Yeah, so I tried that and it was
Uh-huh.
too small for it. I would have to cut the armor for the Deathstroke's chest here, like where his collarbone is, and I want to keep that aspect. The
Right.
Moon Knight, I tried it. I tried to get like the hood sewn onto it, and that ended up fitting Moon Knight better than it did Deathstroke. But
Yeah.
I'm still happy with the way he looks, but I would like a hooded version of Taskmaster. I will probably just make a comic version down the road.
Yeah. I love how you just nonchalantly say, "Yeah, I just used this this Mezco and painted it." I'm just like,
I know.
golly.
It's like if I see potential in one piece of a Mezco, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, little guy, you're not staying stock anymore.
Huh? What's your stock supply of just Mezcos around?
It's that.
Oh God.
It's those up there. It's like if I need bodies, I just have like a bin of bodies.
My God.
Golly.
And you know, it's good to have I'm thankful for the connections I've made. That's for sure. I've made a lot of good friends on here, and sometimes that works in a way to where they're like, hey, I don't need this anymore. I'd rather sell it to someone for a price that I'm not going to make money off you, instead of losing money to eBay or selling it to someone that I don't know. So that's how I usually land a lot of my stuff. And lot sales, like when people are like, this bill came out of nowhere, I got to get rid of all my Mezcos as fast as possible. It sucks to hear. And if they're willing to sell like a group of Mezcos at the same time, and if I have the money to help them like that, do it.
Yeah.
It's fodder at this point for me.
Right. All right. Let's see. I had a few more to show.
Yeah, so far you haven't shown my favorites.
Your favorites?
Good. Yeah. I have 3 favorites.
These are awesome.
Thank you. Love them. They're dead center. That Hush, I mean, I have it right here just so I could show it, but that gray Hush is my all-time favorite. And then the blue one, I still mix and match the belt and the head on that guy because I'm not 100% satisfied. But taking a regular suit and then just taking a pencil and black colored pencil and just shading in the muscle, like I talked about with the BBS Affleck suit, is like, it just takes a regular suit and amplifies it.
So that's with a pencil.
Just a pencil. Yeah.
Wow.
A regular number 2 and a black colored pencil just for shading. Just putting a blank body next to the one with the suit on it and just trying to trace it to see if I can mimic it. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Thank you.
Here's this guy. Where did he come from?
I think that's my second version, because that coat, the first version I did, I took like I think I took a black coat and I painted it green and then painted the question mark on it. The second one, I think that coat is actually produced by Vault Custom Figures, but when the Batman was about to come out, that's when the first person was able to create like the Riddler Riddler sculpt. And I'm not a good face painter, but I could handle that until I realized like the glasses are open and you have to take this tiniest thing in the world and try and get it through the glasses and make an eye, and it's not easy, and it didn't look good, but who cares, because I wasn't looking at that. But I painted a jacket and like dirtied up some pants, and I showed a work in progress picture of what I was doing, and someone said, looks great, but isn't Riddler supposed to be green? And I know I'm colorblind, but I didn't check with like my wife or a friend, hey, am I using green or brown on this guy properly? Because like I can see this says flat green, but when I have fun and mix it, I don't know if I've turned it brown. So my first Riddler, I made his jacket brown. People called me out on it. and it's like, I'm sorry.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's
It's a
work in
base
progress.
coat.
But yeah, one small pitfall for me.
Let's see what else we got. You sent me Deathstroke.
Deathstroke repaint using that same Mix Max Stab of Hades figure. I swapped the suit, probably the same suit that you and I worked with the 89 Keaton figure, just like a black neoprene.
Mm-hmm.
And then followed in the footsteps of Podong, who's like a phenomenal artist.
Mm-hmm.
He took that same figure and did the same thing. I kind of followed suit with the oranges, burnt orange, and I like that guy a lot. And that gun is designed by a guy named Millie Works, where he specializes in just small scale like firearms, and you'd be amazed the level of detail, right down to the ejection port on that rifle. Just the silver aspect of that right there is like that sticks out. He's good.
His guns are amazing.
Yeah.
And they sell out so quick sometimes.
They do.
They do.
You still haven't shown my favorites.
Which
and
one's your favorite, man?
Ironically, none of them is Batman. I had three favorites. The armored Zod.
Oh yeah.
I think it looks amazing.
Thank you.
There's a Captain America in black, the black shield, and then he's got the A on the upper left chest. I think that looks amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, the stealth suit or concept art.
Yeah,
that's what it was. It was based off the Civil War concept art one.
One more. God, was it that Superman? I really like that Superman. I guess you used the Return of the King figure on that Superman. Yeah.
I have definitely used a lot of Return of the King Superman.
Yeah, that's figures. A great Superman body.
Yeah, I like the stock version. I have no problems with it. I just have my own personal problem is I can't leave a figure stock. That's
gotcha
for me.
Oh, you know something, Sean? You know what came out really awesome? Like this figure looks amazing. The Red X.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that one. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That is one of your best. Yes.
Yeah.
When I saw the Red X, that's when the wheels started turning about the possibility of making a Keaton.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, that torso, it's not the same as 89 torso, but it's still a body armor that he does wear. That's really what kind of got my mind going, thinking, okay, maybe we can do something like this.
That one was fun. It was just taking a Mezco Magneto and then swapping the suit, changing the gauntlets and the boot color, getting that vest and that head sculpt. The head sculpt, I can't remember if it's from Omega Doom or 3D Marine, but the chest and some of the other armor is from 3D Marine. Okay. And then just running with the concept of Red X from Teen Titans and like that one comic, and then trying to see if I can make it a little futuristic with it.
Yeah, that one for sure was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you. Welcome.
All right. I think I got one more here. Yeah.
This one I can't take full credit for. This was another one of pickups from a friend. He was looking for the what's it called? Marvel Legends Spider-Man 3-pack. And I had it and I didn't touch it because I guess I pre-ordered it thinking I would actually want it. But that's what happens when we pre-order sometimes. And I'm a sucker for anything Sovereign Knight and what he did here. So I didn't do anything with this. I'm just thankful to have it in my collection. He took a Moon Knight suit and boosted it up to the Sovereign Knight, painted that whole suit black, and then took the BVS chest symbol and glued that on in replacement of the Moon Knight crest.
Oh.
And it's just such cool texture on that suit. I was like, yeah, whatever you want for it. The 3-pack and more, I'll give you. Like, I just love that suit. And then I think I painted that head sculpt. It's from Geek Mechanics. It's his Hush version of a head sculpt.
Okay.
But although it's Hush, it to me it looks a little old, so I wanted it to fit on there. But I got a type. It's Sovereign Knight, and anything Sovereign Knight related I want.
Yeah, no, that looks great. That's very cool. Yeah, I was looking at how you got that chest symbol on there, but that's really, man, that's very creative. I would not have the courage to do that, but I'm glad there are people like you that do, because it's very inspiring, and I really appreciate it. But I'm like, wow. I was going to ask you,
Thank you.
do you mess around with maybe putting soft good suits on like Mafex figures?
I've never done it with a Mafex figure. I've only put soft goods on a Marvel Legends with Scarlet Spider, where I took Besley Studios Scarlet Spider's kit that he had like over a year ago before the new ones came out to go with the Mafex.
Right.
I took the retro Ben Reilly and then put the suit on that, repainted the feet and the hands, and got a new head with big eyes and painted that, and then did it up. And that's pretty much my only Marvel Legends like soft goods custom.
Yeah. Very cool. So what are some things that you've got in the works or you're hoping to get to?
Like I showed earlier, the Jace Fox. I've got two things. I'm making two versions. One right now is I'm going to use that suit, which I'm going to put to a Sovereign Knight. And then another one, this was a test that I think went okay. I took the Sovereign Knight PX suit that originally had the blue parts, and I dropped that in Rit dye to where now some of it got that darker tone, so it has a more like intricate look to it. And so what I'm going to do to that is I'm taking a Future State belt and then the chest symbol from the McFarlane, and I'm going to make that a Jace Fox, and the helmet is somewhere here. I have like parts that I'm all getting ready to prime and paint coming up. These are just like a bunch of miscellaneous projects. So two Jace Foxes. C4 Charles made this beautiful rebirth suit recently, so it's
oh yes,
he got this new design on it. He must have a new cutting technology to where he doesn't have to just like print and sew and iron on symbols now. He can actually go beyond that. Wow. I like this suit because it's a really light gray, and I already have a rebirth in black with like even a black and purple cape from Rebel 10 Customs. So what I want to do with this one is kind of give it a twist and take a blue cape and blue parts to this guy, which is obviously not like accurate to the rebirth look. If anything, it's a variant, but I go for it. Give my collection some more blue. And then this last one, I'm nearly there. I'm not really. Is taking the concept of Ben Affleck's Nightmare and taking like a Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller Nightmare, and then making that a Nightmare, giving him those pants, this kind of like Nightmare Snyder cut appearance, but also like using the Supreme parts. So this one, just a menace the way he looks.
Yeah.
I really don't even know if I want to paint anything on him. I'm kind of happy the way he is. But
yeah. Wow.
That one I'm still like every day I try and figure out. I think I have like whenever I get to posting that, I'm going to show there's like 6 versions of that thing. Like I said, I just take parts and I just put them all on the table and I try and figure it out. 30 hours, like with your Keaton figure, 30 hours sometimes.
Oh my God.
With this. Yeah.
Wow.
And those are all just like the figures that are getting close to, it's like a rat race. It's like they all come together here, but then who makes it to the cutting, who makes it to the actual painting part, and then who stays in the pencil container for a little while longer. So that's how it goes.
So are you working on these every day? Probably.
I try to grab a couple minutes on my desk, like to see what I can get closer to becoming something, because it's like at the end of the night, what can I accomplish? I have some things on like the paint that are like somewhat painted that I slowly put like a little bit on here and there every day. And then all these parts that are like gonna get painted next, and then still trying to learn my own 3D printing with there. Like I want to be able to get my own belts and my own heads instead of buying and shipping.
Yeah. Now, do you mess with vehicles at all?
I've only done the 89 McFarlane repaint, their original release. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with the gray canopy and the glossy finish.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. That was another 30-hour project with me.
Yeah.
I ended up doing it twice.
How does it look now?
Looks perfect.
Yeah.
That was another, trial by fire and learning the hard way and going the long way, because, I bought this paint. It's really a primer. It's a matte black primer. And I taped it off how I wanted it, painted it. Well, I made the mistake of putting that paint on too thick. And so what it did is it sealed the push button for the canopy, and it sealed the canopy. It dried, and I was like, so I had to go buy some paint thinner. And when I put that on there, it took off everything. It took off the factory paint.
Yeah.
But it still left the dried paint sealed in the cockpit. So I ended up taking it apart, kind of like with this Batman figure.
Yeah.
You got to take it apart and learn how it works before you try the real big project. That was, I tend to do things the hard way because I'm an idiot. I don't know any other way to do it. So, but I'm learning. And this Keaton was a real education in the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now when I see your figures that you have posted, I'm starting to like, once you've seen how the sausage is made one time, I start saying, okay, maybe he did this. I don't know, but it was definitely an education in the whole process. And it's a whole nother skill set that takes a lot of skill sets to come up with what you do create, and not only to create it, but to make it look just so awesome. And you make it look so easy. That's the talent part behind it, So
yeah. Thank you very much. I want to make cool things on my time, and I want to help people if they want to do it themselves, because sometimes things aren't released to our liking, and nowadays there's options.
There's a lot of options. Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. So, is Instagram the only place that you have a social media, or
TikTok is the other one?
Okay.
When I first started like toy stuff, I started with Instagram, and then I realized TikTok I could make like reply videos and just post a lot more without really like a care. So I got more into TikTok after a while, but then I grew a better network and like friends and social network on Instagram. So that's where I spend most of my time. I don't think I'd ever do a YouTube. I think, like I said at the beginning, it's just like time, another platform.
It would suck away all your creative time.
Yeah,
it really would.
I want to keep it just like a fun pastime hobby. If I ever needed to try and monetize something, I could go to YouTube, but that's not where the fun is for me. No. Yeah.
Another thing, with YouTube, they have the option there where you can just make short videos. Your 20-second, 30-second videos, you could throw those up on YouTube if you ever wanted to do that. You don't have to have the full-blown 30-minute episode. You could just be like, just like what you're doing now. But I
could do that.
Yeah, you can do. You're great at doing that.
Thank you.
But all right. Well, I think that's about all the time that we've had tonight. We're going close to about 1:20. So, Sean, thank you so much. Everyone, go follow Sean and check out his custom works at Tic Tac Customs on Instagram. I'll put the handle up on the page here. But again, thank you so much personally, but also for coming on to the show and showing us your amazing. I'll call it art because to me it is art.
Thank you. I really appreciate that for both you guys.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you guys for having me on and letting me just talk about toys and customizing and sharing a Batman passion. It's awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Come back anytime. If you got something new you want to show, just please give me a shout and we'll get you back on here.
Yeah, please. Maybe next time I'll just show you like the whole collection of Batman figures.
Hey, why
Sounds
not?
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Right
Collection toys sounds good.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think that's our time for tonight. So appreciate everyone for tuning in. You can rate and review us, give us a follow, or give us a comment. And we really appreciate that. So thank you very much. And we'll see you next time.